Over the last couple of years, most of you know that I have been a financial coach for over 10 years, but I actually, the last couple of years, also started to help financial coaches become really good at becoming financial coaches as well. So one of the things I've noticed is that while we all think that our struggles are unique, that's why I started Financial Coaches Unite, is because I want us to all help each other, because a lot of the challenges that we're facing are very similar, and we all follow a very typical sort of path to becoming a really great financial coach. I hope that we can move through these quickly, because you'll see at the top of this pyramid, the ultimate goal is to have massive reach, right? That means you're helping a lot of people, thousands of people, and you're doing it for a really long time and essentially changing the world. And the faster we can move through this pyramid, the less frustrated we're going to be, the happier we're going to be, the more people we're going to help, and it's just an all-around good thing. So I'm going to be going through the different stages, and as I go through them, just sort of clue in on maybe which one sounds like you in your current phase of your financial coaching journey. Financial Coaches Unite, we're all from different walks of life and different stages of our journey, and that's a beautiful thing. And so let's just own it. And then what I want you to do is, once you clue in on exactly where you're at in your journey, pay attention to what the next step is in this description, because that's probably where you're heading, and there's challenges for each of these stages, as you'll notice. And so that way maybe you can be preventative of the challenges that next stage feels. So here we go. The first one, as you guys can see, the very bottom of the pyramid is a seed has been planted. You are in this stage if you're thinking about making a change, you want to try something new, and you probably have just recently heard about this concept of financial coaching. You're probably still making really good progress on your own personal financial journey, and you feel motivated by those changes. You're probably starting to see some benefits other than just financial benefits. You're happier, you're healthier, you're sleeping better. And since you're seeing those changes for yourself, you're excited and you're thinking about, how can I get other people to see these changes too? You probably think managing your money is fun at this stage. You might be asking yourself, how do I get more knowledge around finances? If you're in this stage, you feel like you're maybe just brand new at this idea of managing your money really well. If you are in this stage, some of the challenges is that it can be really overwhelming. You're not sure where to start. So I've just now heard about this idea and I have no idea, where do I even begin? And it can be really overwhelming. One of the other traits that plagues this category is a person tends to think about or worry about what will their friends and family think at this stage if they were to tell them this is what they want to do. So you start thinking about, I want to tell my spouse that this is something I want to do. I want to help people get out of debt, or I want to help people with budgeting, but I'm worried about what people will think or say if I tell them that. So if you're not careful, you could be in this stage for a really long time because you just don't even know what step to take first. And that's one of the reasons why I think Financial Coaches Unite is a great place to be, because you've got hopefully a bunch of people all in this pyramid at different stages, and we can all kind of help with, this is what you need to do to start. You don't want to stay right where you're at and all of a sudden 2 years go by and you haven't made any progress, okay? So that is a seed has planted. The next stage is sort of where the person wants to go next, or they might find themselves very naturally. So this next transition tends to be very organic, but you're now in hobby time. So chances are you are helping family and friends, but probably for free. So you're not charging them. You're in charge of your own family's budget. And you've probably at this point reached some good financial goals, or you're starting to see some big results. And the idea there is that you're probably starting to solidify a little bit more some of the strategies that you put in place for yourself. You're starting to see them actually work and the end results of those. And so you're feeling a bit more confident. Chances are at this stage you might have attended some sort of financial training, or you find yourself reading books or blogs or listening to podcasts on anything money related. So this is definitely me, and I think that that's actually a trait that I hope most people never lose as a financial coach. I hope that you'll always be a geek about money forever and ever. So that is a good trait to have, and usually it starts to form when this is your hobby. You want to take the next step in starting a career in financial coaching so you can help more people, but and you've gotten the taste of what it's like to actually sit down and help people, and you'd like to experience more of that. So that's something, a feeling that happens in the hobby time. This is a really challenging stage because you're not sure how to transition from a hobby to an actual business. In other words, you're nervous about asking for money from friends and family. And this is a really hard transition to make because chances are at this point, you are, helping people, but because those people are friends and family, it's awkward to ask for money. It's even harder at this stage to ask for money than any other stage along the path. So, and you probably haven't quite figured out how to do that. And chances are in this stage, you're really busy. So you're probably working full time, or you've got a family that you're responsible for taking care of. And this is just something you are supposed to be doing in your spare time. So it's not necessarily your number one priority at this point. One final challenge of hobby time, people, is that what I have found in the coaches that I train is that they're not identifying themselves as a financial coach yet when they're in either of these two lower categories. So a seed has been planted or a hobby time, you're not necessarily out saying, I'm a financial coach. You might say something like, oh, hey, I can help you with that, let me know. But you're not really feeling confident in identifying or defining yourself as a financial coach. And so it can be really hard to take this next step. The third step up is really similar. Actually, it's the part-timers or those that are doing it as a side hustle. At this point, you're probably actually making money helping people, but it's still something that you're doing part-time. So it's not quite your career yet. Chances are at this point, you've helped some people who are outside of your immediate influence or sphere of influence. So it's like one person removed from a family or friend. So like maybe like your mom's coworker or, your best friend's cousin or something like that. So usually it's getting a little bit more exciting because you're helping people that are kind of strangers or acquaintances at that point. You do get paid usually at this stage, but you're wondering if it's something you can keep repeating, or if you can repeat it enough and get paid enough to actually leave a career job to do this full time. Also, the next stage after this can be a really tough transition to make, because if you're part-time and you're working full-time, you're getting a steady paycheck. It's really hard to think about a time where you're not getting that steady income to replace that for something that's really can feel unstable or doesn't happen all the time. The idea that if I don't work, I don't get paid, that can be a really scary prospect when you are getting a full-time paycheck and trying to leave that full-time paycheck. The tough thing here is you need to be making more money in order to leave your full-time job, but at this stage, you probably don't have too many formal prices or programs in place yet. You're probably charging per session at this point from what I've seen, because it seems like the simplest approach to coming up with programs and packages. But at the same time, that's not always scalable to do it full-time. And so we don't have great onboarding systems. We don't have all the contracts and the scheduling help and all of that stuff in place. We probably don't have clear marketing or a very clear marketing message at this stage, because at this point, we're still just really happy to be helping people, right? So we're really just excited that we're helping people, and it feels a little unstructured, maybe not streamlined. Maybe I always use the word clunky, like it's working, but it's a little clunky. And in order to get to the next step, which is to do it for a living, it can't be clunky at the next step. Like your livelihood will depend on it when it's your full-time job. So we've got to get it feeling very streamlined before we move on. Let's see. Chances are at this stage too, for part-timers, there's not really a steady stream of prospects because of those other things that I talked about. And so until we get feeling like we've got a steady process in place, it's really hard to leave that steady paycheck that we might be getting until we are certain that what we're doing is scalable and leverageable and we can duplicate it over and over and over again when we've got to use this income to pay the bills. The goal that I find most financial coaches are shooting for when they first come to me is to be a career financial coach. So this is where if you are in any of those first three categories, you're probably wishing you could get to be a career coach. And then if you're a career coach in the group, you're probably understanding that once you get to this stage, it's not all easy and all it's cracked up to be. We also have some challenges at this stage that I want to talk about. And so really at the end of the day, what we want to get to is that top pyramid, like I said, which is massive reach. But the career coach is the person who's doing it full time. It's possibly their sole source of income or their primary source of income. You can be a financial expert really of any type. It doesn't have to be considered a financial coach or a budgeting coach, if you will, but you're essentially meeting with people on a regular basis, talking with them about money, and it's for a living. At this point, you've probably got some systems in place, you've got some good prices going on, you've got cool names for your packages and your session names, you've probably got some business cards, some marketing materials, you probably have a good system in place for talking about what you do, and you're starting to feel really confident saying that this is what you do for a living. Some struggles that you are probably facing in this stage is that you are really busy and you are working really hard to be as busy as you are. You're likely exchanging time for money in this category. So in other words, if you don't work, you don't get paid, which means it's really hard to feel like you can take a vacation. It might be really hard to feel like you can unplug. You might have hit your ceiling as far as revenue goes. So a lot of clients, like I said, get into this stage and they are exchanging time for money, and they're structured to be charging per session. And at some point you might have all of these clients that you're working with, but you can't add a single appointment to the week. You're already full. You've got the number of clients you can take on, which means unless you raise your prices, you can't make any more money. Okay. And that can feel exhausting. You can reach burnout really quickly in this stage if you're not careful. One of the other struggles that I see with career coaches, if they're not careful, is there tends to sometimes be a level of guilt or frustration at this stage, because if you've moved up this ascension model, which most people have, you wanted to get to this stage. And now that you're here, when it's not maybe all it's cracked up to be, you feel guilty for not being happier about that. Or maybe you're getting burnt out and then that makes you feel guilty because this is something you said you've wanted for so long. And we need to make it so that you essentially get to this massive reach stage. So I always say that this is really the ultimate goal, because this is when you've got a fully scalable, leverageable business. You're helping thousands of people and you've got a whole bunch of different options so that if you want to take a week off, you can, or if you want to take a vacation and spend time with your family, we can do that. One of the biggest struggles with financial coaches, what I have found, is that we're probably all in it because we have a desire to help people. And at the end of the day, if we're not careful, we could find ourselves giving up our own goals, our own life for the goals of our clients. And we end up making it so that their goals become our priority because of this desire to help them. And Massive Reach helps to structure things so that you don't necessarily struggle with that, or you've got a bunch of different options. Now, there's a few different approaches that I always say that you could have in your business when you're trying to create massive reach. So you could possibly have other coaches work for you. You could have a group program. You could be working with companies and meeting with their employees. Maybe you have a mentorship program where you mentor other coaches. You could have a membership program for your clients. The idea is you could have one of these or a combination of all of them. It really is up to you. But the idea is that you are not solely focused on meeting one-on-one with a person and getting paid only for that time that you're with that client. And again, because if otherwise what could happen if you're not working, you're not getting paid, and that can eventually feel very exhausted, where in Massive Reach, we've solved that problem. So, and like I said, while everybody seems to want to get to the career phase, really Massive Reach is what you ultimately want to be shooting for. The idea with what I, teach in Massive Reach is that you can be in a position to do your business for years and years and years, decades. And that ultimately means that you get to help more people because you do it for a lot longer. And you're not going to want to quit or go back into corporate America or do any of those things because you've become exhausted in your financial coaching journey. I've recorded another training video that is available on our website, where it goes over some of the very unique challenges that each of these people face in this stage, and then solutions for overcoming them. And it's totally free. If you guys want to go and watch it, you can. The link to that, and I'll post this in the video as well, but it's 𝗏𝗏FitnessPHX.com/7 mistakes. And I'll repeat that, but it's 𝗏𝗏FitnessPHX.com /7 mistakes, and 7 is the number, not spelled out. So take a look at that. And it's, like I said, it's got 7 mistakes that I think are pretty consistent across the board with all financial coaches. And I think if you are in any of those, I also offer solutions for overcoming them. I don't want you to feel guilty because you're making the mistake, but just offer some suggestions for solving them. But take a look at that. I think it'll really help. And I would love to hear from you guys in the group of, where are you in this journey? Was this eye-opening for you in the sense that realizing that maybe at each stage as you grow, it does get better, absolutely, but it comes with a whole set of unique challenges that we want to work through. Part of what I help people with, or financial coaches with, in the Financial Coach Academy is helping you create massive reach, even if you're just starting out, helping you design all the programs, all the prices for a massive reach business model. That way, as you're working through this, the process just grows with you, and it doesn't need to be something that you figure this out as you go along, like most of us do. It ends up being where you start off with all the proper structure in place, and you get to move up, and it just grows the busier you get, which is kind of the beautiful thing about it. There were a couple of other questions that people asked, and I'm gonna tag those for another live video when you guys can actually see my face and you're not looking at a pyramid on here. So I just sometimes think that's better, and we'll definitely talk with you guys later. Let me know what thoughts you have and where you're at on this journey and where you hope to get. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.